Hey everyone, so I want you to picture a world where diplomacy doesn't happen in these huge, fancy buildings with flags out front, but through lines of code. It sounds wild, right? Well, that's the core idea behind virtual embassies, and it's a concept that could literally reshape how countries talk to each other. Today, we're going to dive into how this digital shift could actually happen and what it all means for the future. Yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? What if a nation's official presence in another country wasn't a person in an office, but an autonomous piece of software? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but the foundations for this technology, they're already being built as we speak. So, to really get our heads around this, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at old school embassies versus these new digital ones. Then, we'll see how a diplomat's actual job translates into code. After we peek at the tech, we'll get into the really tricky legal hurdles. And finally, we'll talk about why, even with all those challenges, this could seriously be the future. All right, let's jump in. Section 1. To really understand where we're going, we've got to be super clear on where we are right now. So let's start with what we all know. When you think embassy, you picture a physical building, right? It's a little piece of one country's territory inside another. It's where diplomats work, where citizens can go for help, where big negotiations happen face to face. It's a powerful symbol. But that entire idea of what presence means, it's about to get a major rethink. And this is the game changer right here. A virtual embassy is an official, government-backed piece of software. It doesn't exist on a street in a capital city. It exists on a server somewhere. Its staff aren't people in suits, they're autonomous agents. And their mission is exactly the same as a traditional embassy's: represent, protect, and negotiate for their nation. The only difference is their entire world of operations is cyberspace. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how on earth can a piece of code do the job of a seasoned diplomat? Well, the key is to break down what an embassy actually does and see how you can reimagine those core jobs for a digital world. The mission stays the same, but the way you do it, completely different. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this. Representation, it goes from human diplomats to autonomous agents. Protection, it's not about giving you a safe building to run to anymore. It's about securing your digital identity and your data. Negotiation shifts from a handshake in a quiet room to a secure, automated data exchange. Even something like cultural exchange gets an update. It becomes about managing a nation's official web presence and its digital influence. See? The job's the same, but the tools are brand new. So let's pop the hood and see what's going on inside. What are the actual bits and pieces of technology that would make a virtual embassy even work? Who, or, what, is actually doing the diplomacy here? Okay, so the staff of these embassies are basically software agents. They're your digital delegates. The best way to think about it is like this. A country's foreign policy, its negotiation rules, its official positions, all of that gets coded directly into these agents. It's like a digital rule book they have to follow, allowing them to act precisely on the nation's behalf. And just like a physical embassy has that consular office for helping citizens, a virtual embassy has what's called a digital consulate. This is the part you or I would interact with. It's a secure, always-on virtual service desk. It's where you could go to get official help, prove who you are for government services, or get documents legally notarized, all without leaving your house. Let's walk through how this would work in the real world. Say you need a document notarized. Instead of driving to an office, you'd connect securely to the digital consulate. It would verify it's really you using some heavy-duty encryption. Then, bam, it applies a secure digital signature and a timestamp and logs the whole thing on a tamper-proof record. And just like that, you have a legally recognized document, all done in minutes. Now, for all of these different virtual embassies from different countries to talk to each other without it being total chaos, they need a shared language. And that's what diplomatic protocol is. It's a set of technical rules. I love this phrase. It's like a diplomatic grammar for machines. It makes sure that when one agent sends a message, the other one gets it, understands it, and, most importantly, trusts that it's the real deal. Okay, this all sounds incredibly cool and efficient, right? But as you can probably guess, the moment you put a nation's official authority into lines of code, well, you create some absolutely massive new challenges. This kind of tech can't just exist in a legal Wild West. And here it is, the single biggest headache of them all: jurisdiction. Think about it. A virtual embassy might be hosted on a server in, say, Germany. It's representing Japan, and it's performing a service for a citizen who's currently in Brazil. So if something goes wrong, whose laws apply? Where did the act technically even happen? The internet doesn't care about borders, but our entire legal system is built on them. This creates a fundamental clash of power. On one side, you have the company that owns the servers, the host platform, saying, hey, these are our servers on our soil, our rules apply. But on the other side, you have the country that owns the virtual embassy, the sending state, saying, hold on, that's our sovereign diplomatic mission. Our authority and our laws are what matter here. It's a real tug of war. And honestly, that's just the start. We need brand new international treaties just to recognize these digital acts as legally valid. We have to figure out what diplomatic immunity even means for a piece of software. You've got to make sure there's always a human in the loop for the really big decisions. And you have to solve the problem of making sure a virtual embassy is who it says it is, and not some sophisticated fake. These are monumental challenges. So after hearing about all of those giant hurdles, you're probably asking yourself, why even bother? Why try to solve these incredibly complicated problems? Well, the answer is that the potential payoff could be just as massive as the challenges. The yield, or the benefit here, is huge. Just imagine getting instant consular help no matter where you are in the world. Think about international trade where customs data is shared securely and automatically. Or during a global cyber attack, these embassies could coordinate a response in real time. This isn't just about being more efficient. It's about making diplomacy faster, more responsive, and maybe even more accessible for every nation, not just the wealthy ones that can afford to build embassies everywhere. And here's the smart part. We don't have to just flip a switch and go global overnight. The likely path forward is through something called a diplomatic zone. The best way to think of it is as a digital sandbox. It's a controlled online space where a few countries can agree to experiment with these ideas, test the tech, and figure out the rules of the road together, safely, before this thing gets rolled out on a global scale. So we kind of end up right back where we started with that simple but revolutionary question of an embassy as code. As we've seen, the implications here are just profound. This technology challenges our most basic ideas about what sovereignty is, what territory is, what identity is. When a nation can project its authority and help its citizens anywhere in the world, just as a piece of software, well, what do borders even mean anymore? That's the question we're all going to have to face.